Good afternoon, Facebook followers. My name is Tom Lowy. I'm a reporter and columnist with the Galesburg Register Mail. The person you're looking at right now, Beth Buck. Hi, Beth.
Hello.
You're joining us today to talk about a benefit sale, the benefit sale for Puerto Rico, and it's going to be held from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Sunday, November 5th. So coming up at the end of this week.
Right, correct.
It's going to be at Q's Cafe.
Yes.
And that's 319 Main Street.
Right.
We just learned all that stuff. I don't know that off the top of my head. Let's talk about what you're doing first.
Sure. So this started as an idea to raise some funds to send to Puerto Rico that weren't necessarily in my budget. But I do have things that I thought perhaps I could sell to have a sale and raise some other money to send. And I asked friends to participate with me. So we will, it's resale in a way, but we have gotten some donations of other things that are, for instance, LuLaRoe leggings, so we can do a silent auction.
Right,
so.
Gotcha. Tell people what you're going to be selling a little bit, just in general terms.
Sure. Clothing, collectibles, crafting supplies, household goods, things that are in good shape, but, perhaps we've outgrown the use for.
Right. A little bit like a yard sale or a garage sale.
Exactly. But at Q's where we can be indoors.
Right. And that was a big, and we want to shout out to Walt McAllister.
Exactly.
Because he kindly stepped forward, you asked him.
Yes.
This was originally going to be maybe something outside and you're subject to the weather and everything.
Right. We had looked at an outside venue and it turned out to be something that we weren't going to be able to work with for weather and for equipment reasons. And so I asked Walt, who had previously hosted an event that his daughter and my daughter had there to raise funds for a group they were organizing, if he would allow me to use his space. And he was really gracious and said, yeah, sure, and pulled out his calendar and scheduled it right there. So
no end to his willingness to get involved in the community. So,
exactly.
So the funds you are going to pass on to One America Appeal.
Right.
Tell people a little bit about why you chose that as the place to pass that on to and what it's about.
Right. Well, One America Appeal is a fund through the George H.W. Bush Library Foundation, and it is supported by all the former living presidents. They did a big fundraiser a week or so ago.
Right.
That was televised, and it was initially started to respond to about Harvey and Irma, those hurricanes, but it has expanded to Maria in Puerto Rico, and then. The thing is that this way the funds, they can go directly to people. There's not, a lot of overhead or anything. So
intermediary.
Exactly.
And I think in both our experiences, mine as a reporter and you talked about a documentary you saw so often, items are sent, which is fraught with a lot of, you end up with rooms filled with mattresses. And we saw that at Cameron, too. At a certain point, they had to politely ask, please don't send any more water, that kind of deal.
Right.
So in this way, funding it's a more direct
Exactly.
line.
And then it gets to the people who need it, and it gets them the things that they need. They may not need
mattresses
exactly,
or whatever. Right.
Exactly. But they may need something else more desperately that the folks on the ground can help them find. So yeah, that's the idea.
One of the things I thought was really interesting as we were sitting here talking about this is that I found that you're really kind of reflective and self-critical to come to this point. Talk to our viewers a little bit about that process, like how you came to decide rather than, and not that there's anything wrong, and you said this in your interview, not anything wrong with writing a check, but rather than writing a check, you wanted to be a little more active. So talk to people about that.
Right. Well, so one of my responses, unfortunately, to a natural disaster is to think that I own too many things, that I have sort of bought into this sense of affluence that means owning things, and that's not necessarily where I need to be. And folks who have lost everything, are just each day trying to get the minimum, where they might have to work for hours just to get water to cook with or bathe with or whatever. And why should I hold on to these things when they could benefit someone else.
Right.
So so that's part of it, and then just trying to be responsive in a way that maybe my everyday budget doesn't allow me.
Right.
So
right.
You know,
you can do more
exactly
with the help by gathering your community.
Exactly.
Have you had a good response in terms of donations?
Yes. Now, it's a little bit more free form than your usual sort of rummage sale.
Right.
So because of the original intent of being outdoors, so I've asked the folks who are participating to mark their own things and to bring them to the event. So everyone is responsible for their own things. But yes, we've gotten good response, and as I said, we've gotten a couple of folks who have donated some other things too that are maybe outside of the the resale idea. So
okay,
and I mean, don't we all own a thing that we bought that's brand new that we thought
never used?
Right. So
right. Let's talk a little bit about the idea of neighbors.
Right.
And we hit on that because there is a kind of, for whatever reason, a level of disconnect with Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Maybe it's so far away, for whatever reasons.
Right.
And we were talking about Cameron and
Yes.
and our overwhelming response to Cameron, but you feel like maybe we're a little disconnected on Puerto Rico. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. I just think, and there are many of us who have this experience where we are a little bit removed. And I mean, there was an astounding figure that I'm not going to be able to quote right now about how many people didn't realize that Puerto Rico was part of the United States, or the U.S. Virgin Islands. But these folks are our neighbors, just as someone from Cameron who might also have experienced a natural disaster. And I find it's troubling that we seem to respond more readily to folks who are closer, who maybe look more like us, than folks who maybe are a little bit more remote. And yet, I don't think that's who we want to be. If we get down to the bottom of it, I don't think we want to be folks who only help those who are just like us.
Right. Or just close to us.
Just close to us, right.
Now, granted, it's easier. I mean, the path of empathy for someone in Cameron is maybe a little bit shorter than that in Puerto Rico, but that's kind of where you're getting at, is like, it's the same path.
Yes, and I think, I can't say that I have necessarily had any experience with any individual from Puerto Rico. I may or may not have, and we don't all self-identify by the state or territory we come from. But it's just the more people you know, the more you realize we're all just people. We're all just striving to, to have a life for ourselves. Whether it is. At this level, it's just the most basic, and we hope for more. We hope for people to be able to achieve more for themselves. So, let's help folks get to where they're not having to boil water, where they're not having to travel to get gas, to get medical equipment running, so that they can keep striving for, what we all wish for.
Before we go, I have one last question, but I want to remind people this is a benefit sale for Puerto Rico, and it's going to be from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Sunday, November 5th, and you're going to find it at Q's Cafe, and that's 319 Main Street, address for anybody who's, maybe out of town.
Yes.
I think a lot of us know where Q's is, and hopefully have eaten there. One thing I want to point out is the funds raised will go towards One America Appeal, and then the stuff that's not sold, you plan on donating to the Purple Hanger, which benefits a lot of people very close to home.
Right. So the Purple Hanger is a shop that benefits the Safe Harbor right here in Galesburg. So the idea is that things that are left over would go there. And, in that way, too, it frees us a little bit about, not having to necessarily bargain for prices on things. I mean, the price, is going to benefit people no matter what. So, hopefully people will be generous in giving to the sale for Puerto Rico. And then, if there are things that don't appeal, they can then hopefully go and help people with Purple Hanger. Not to say that they're getting our cast-offs, but just...
Right, no. But that's what they take on a regular basis anyway.
And that way, it might... somebody who maybe didn't have a chance to come to the sale, it can help them and then further benefit Purple Hanger. So the
last thing I want to talk about before we go is that we talked about being overwhelmed.
Yes.
about Puerto Rico might have come at a time when we're all exhausted and maybe we can't watch any more tragedy. And so talk about this sale in reaction to maybe trying to have a little power over that.
Yeah, I think so. Just there has been so much in the news lately between the hurricanes and the fires and now, another terrorist attack. And it gets so overwhelming where there's just so much news and we have to turn off. It's part of self-care. We just have to. But also I feel like part of self-care is grabbing our power back, is reclaiming it and figuring out what we can do rather than just being, marinating in the helpless feeling. So this is a way, that hopefully some of us can proactively help others and help ourselves at the same time.
Gotcha. I want to tell people one more time, and what I'll do is at the first comment, people will be able to find the name of the event, where it's being held, what time, and the street address. But we're talking about benefit sale for Puerto Rico. We're with Beth Buck, and she's hosting this event from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Sunday, November 5th. That's going to be at Q's Cafe, and that's 319 Main Street. Monies raised are from the sale of clothing, collectibles, craft supplies, a wide array of the kinds of things that you find at a rummage sale or a garage sale or an estate sale. Monies raised from that are going to go to One America Appeal, and then items from that sale will also be donated locally to the Purple Hangar.
Yes.
Thank you for coming to us with this.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And good luck with it on Sunday.
Thank you.
All right.